and welcome to episode 1 of Punches and Brunches here on ID Boxing with me, your host Rob Tebbutt. I love breakfast, I love boxing, so I decided to put the two together and sit down with fighters, trainers and other industry people to find out what they do to start their day off right, what breakfast they have before their sessions, before their fights, and when nobody's around to check on them. Episode 1 today, we've got Olympic bronze medalist Frazer Clarke ahead of his return on the July 30th show in Bournemouth.
Go on. Experience now, you see. What you don't want to do is do your bagel last because then you're waiting for it to go through the toaster.
See, that's a good,
good little
tip.
You get your bagel on there first.
What about one of these?
Nah, no chocolate muffins. At the minute, not yet. Give it a couple of weeks and we're back on the muffins. Get that in there.
What would you recommend for his?
They're all good. I've gone seeded.
Where's the knife? Lovely. I don't really have too many bagels. I think it's because, like, for me, it's probably different for you, but for me, I like associate bagels with like having like a big, like, see a bagel at Brick Lane. Massive. Yeah, they're the ones we've had many a night at the bagel shop round the corner from York Hall.
No, I just get bored of toast. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially if I'm having up some eggs, which I am doing. Little bagel. I mean, it doesn't get that toasted off one time through, but I don't mind it. I like mine like that.
Yeah, I don't mind. I like mine.
I like mine like that.
Yeah, same.
Let me just get a plate. Right, we're going to start off with the bacon, the sausage. I wish. Go some scrambled eggs. Get some greens on there. My nutritionist be loving seeing a few greens going on the plate first thing in the morning. So I'll get a bit of that on there. I'm going to leave the chicken sausages today. I'm not in the mood. That'll do. That's one course. Put some greens on there, some scrambled eggs.
See, this is the problem with me doing stuff like this with like elite athletes. You're going to get that, and what I get is not going to look anywhere near.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna love or enjoy anything about eating broccoli first thing in the morning, but it's good. I know it's good for me. Get a bit of protein on there with the smoked salmon. That piece looks a bit dodgy. We'll skip that. A little bit of smoked salmon. A little bit of avocado on the side.
So obviously, like, one of the big vogue things now in not even just boxing, but being an athlete is like vegan diets and stuff like that. Have you ever considered? Have you ever had like a?
Do you know what it is like? Obviously, there probably is a lot of benefits to it. I know a couple of guys vegan, like Lawrence is vegan. He has been for a few years now. But for me, meat and veg, they make me strong. You know what I mean? Obviously, you can still have the veg, but it's just all I've ever known. So I've never really looked into it that much. You know what I mean? But I like my meat as well.
Yeah, it's become like a real thing lately. I mean, I think David was the first one. David Hay, I think, was the first kind of high-profile vegan boxer.
But he's small, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's small. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big guy. I need to fuel myself. Smoothie, mixed berry, perfect. And I think, you know what? I think that might do me for now. Yeah, course one. We might leave it at that, to be honest.
So I'm going to go and get mine now, which is probably not going to be as nutritious or as healthy looking as Frazer's, but there we go. Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that they weren't going to have like a fry-up selection here, so I didn't have to embarrass myself. But
well, there's like a kind of good fry-up. I mean,
okay. What would be a good healthy fry? What could you pick?
I mean, you can go obviously like the scrambled eggs or the fried eggs. There's chicken sausages instead of pork sausages.
There's no real healthy way to have black pudding though, is there?
No, not really. Black pudding's black pudding. Do you know what I mean?
I quite like black
Well, you got
pudding,
one piece won't hurt, will it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, why not?
One
It's
piece
hot today as well.
Yeah,
I'm going to sweat it out.
one piece won't hurt.
Okay, so I'm going to go for the scrambled eggs.
Go for the scramble.
So I'm going to go scramble first. Leave some for somebody else. Bacon again, not really a way to have a help. I'll tell you, I'll just have one bit of bacon. I would usually have a bit more.
Yeah, if it's one bit, it don't really count.
Okay, there we go. Is that the SNC rule?
That's what I said. That's what I say anyway. And you got the chicken sausages far right.
Oh, chicken ones are far right. Okay, so it's all about making slightly healthy choices.
Yeah, little decisions.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be like one bit of black pudding rather than. See, that's even like a half one as well. So really, I could have two.
Yeah.
And it would really be like one piece. But okay, broccoli. I tell you what, just for you, I'm gonna go for some broccoli. It's definitely the first time I've had broccoli in the morning.
You got to chuck a hash brown on there. Come on.
Chuck a hash brown, just one.
You got to, yeah.
Okay, well, halloumi. To be fair, it's not.
Bit of halloumi as well. Let's put it this way: if I was you, there'd be halloumi and hash browns going on. It's that simple.
We're gonna we'll go for one of each.
Yeah.
Just to start with, because we've still got the bagel as well. What about like beans, mushrooms, tomatoes?
I'm not one for having all the runny stuff on my breakfast, really. You know, like it's not me. It just makes a mess of things.
To be fair, I don't mind having like beans on it, but you know, you get like beans sometimes. It's just like all sauce and like a.
Yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me.
So I'm gonna go for the mushrooms then. You're a mushroom man. Controversial pick sometimes, I think.
I like mushrooms. I go mushrooms now and then.
Yeah, I like them. I'm a fan. My missus doesn't like mushrooms, so this is kind of like my little respite away from her. Really.
It's the texture in it for a lot of people.
Yeah, like problem is like she hates them so much that I don't ever get them. I'm not even allowed to cook them in the same vicinity, like one of those types of things.
Women.
Right, okay, we've got our bagel. Right, let's
That's
go
great,
and
yeah?
sit down and let's have
Yours
some breakfast.
doesn't actually look that bad, really,
It's
does
not-
it?
I mean, to be fair, if you weren't here and the camera wasn't here, it'd be a lot different. Right, let's eat.
Let's eat.
Right, so I don't even know where to start here. Oh, do you know what? I'm gonna go for the broccoli straight out of the bat.
You're brave, man.
It's straight in there.
See the thing with the broccoli? It's not nice, so just get it in there.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Down the hatch.
It makes the rest of it seem like a dessert, innit? Like you get through the first bit.
First bit. I always struggle to eat first thing, to be honest, and it's like something that which like Andy, my nutritionist here at Loughborough, he's been getting on to me about, you know, like fueling the day, fueling the sessions, like a full bagel in the morning. Like it's an effort for me, do you know, like to put it in, but I know I have to because there's been times, you know, just like second or third session of the day, I'm feeling depleted and I'm feeling tired, and this is probably because, you know, I'm not putting enough carbs in first thing in the morning or even the day before. So like, yeah, it's a task, but now, and people say that and people look at me like, really, you can't eat a full bagel first thing in the morning? Look at the size of it. And I can sometimes, you know what I mean? But there's a lot of times, believe it or not, how big I am, I haven't got a massive appetite, which is strange, and people think, really? But honestly, it's not like I can't eat loads and loads. I have to be in the mood, do you know what I mean?
Where does that come from? Like, where do you think that comes from?
Just,
You've always been like that.
No, because I think it's probably over the last few years I've been just a bit more conscious about what I eat, you know. Growing up, you know, my family were always, you know, the plates are like huge, wham, do you know what I mean? You know, like grandparents, parents, like, they're proper feeders, do you know what I mean? So, but, and don't get me wrong, on my day, you know, I'm gonna eat food, you know what I mean? I can really eat food, but I think, obviously, learning more about my body, learning more about myself, I mean, I've come to the conclusion I'm never going to look like Anthony Joshua. It's not going to happen. I'm more in the Tyson Fury bracket, but I can box. That's it. That's all that matters. But yeah, I know that, you know, for the case of longevity and wanting to go on for longer, you know, you are what you eat. So I've got to look after myself.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be looking like Anthony Joshua anytime soon either. I'll probably not even look like Tyson Fury. Maybe when he was out of the ring, I'm probably getting to that kind of level. But How does your you mentioned there like the last few years being a little bit more mindful or a lot more mindful of what you put in your body and things like that. How does that differ to where you were, let's say, at the start of your amateur career? Like, how does your diet and your nutrition changed compared to what it used to be like, let's say, sort of 10, 12 years ago?
I think you learn more. You know, in boxing, you're always learning. Obviously, a nutritionist, I didn't even know what one of them was till a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just learning more all the time, meeting new people, and obviously maturing as well. You know, you can't. I think when I was younger, I always felt like dinner time was a competition. You know, it was. My thing was I was shit at everything else, but I could eat the most. So that was like, it's like my win. Do you know what I mean? I can remember my granddad, like one of his bragging, his things to brag about me to his mates was, oh, like, you know, when everyone else was young and all the kids had a Happy Meal. Oh, this lad don't have a Happy Meal. He'll have a Big Mac. He'll have a Big Mac. He's only 5. He's like, he's not interested in a toy. He wants a Big Mac, super size if they've got it. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, and I can remember, like, all the same, like, we go out for restaurants and that. My granddad and my dad, like, I find it like, I try to impress them by how much I could eat. Do you know what I mean? And looking back now, it's absolutely ridiculous. But it was just, I think it was just, I don't know. It just, we're all big people in my family, so it was just the way it went.
What's your heritage? You mentioned about like your family feeding you and.
So.
Sorry, yeah, that's part of the reason, part of the I guess issue with doing a breakfast interview is that you're going to be talking with your mouth full. Please don't hold it against Frazer. Obviously, he's a very he's a very polite man.
So my dad's from Jamaica and my mum's English.
The Caribbean culture is a big food culture, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It works two ways. I feel like you get two sides of the gene pool. You know, the Jamaican side. You get the ripped, strong guys, or you get the guys that eat and love food and they're big and plumpy. I definitely got that side. I got that side. But saying that, no, it's probably from my mum's side, because my dad's a fit guy. My dad's 70 now. He's still in shape. Yeah, probably from my mum's side. To be fair, like I say, Sunday dinners, mixed grills, yeah, all of that. Like, you know, I just like food. Always did. Always will.
So we're about, what day are we on today? Tuesday. So like a week and a half away from you returning to the ring. How soon after that do you go off diet? Did you go off plan on the Sunday morning straight away?
No, because I wouldn't say, you know, now, like, I wouldn't say I enjoy eating bad food, because I don't. I like nicer food now, and you know, the nicer food you get, depending on where it is, the better it can be. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
It doesn't always have to be unhealthy.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be unhealthy. Like, you know, I prefer going for a nice steak rather than a Five Guys. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not a massive fan of unhealthy food anyway. It's just like, it makes me feel bad in myself. You know, really. I'm not a huge fan of it. We'll probably have a treat, you know, on a Sunday. I think we're going to stay up in Bournemouth, me and the family, the kids and stuff. So, you know, we'll probably have fish and chips by the seaside. Yeah, makes sense, don't it? You know, if you're down by the seaside, if you don't have fish and chips, you're a muppet, aren't you? So,
yeah, it's the best place to get it for sure.
So I'm gonna have to have some of that. But yeah, it's not like, it's not one of them things like, oh, I've just boxed, let me go and ram. You know, like, I don't have to make weight, remember that. And some of these guys that deplete themselves, they have a completely different mindset. I found it the whole way through the amateurs, you know, like, I feel like they have a lot more appreciation for food and drink than I do. Because I can always have, not what I want, but I can have as much as I want of the good stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've sat over the table with people eating this little amount, and I've got a full plate, you know, trying to fill myself with energy and stuff. So yeah, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna have my fight and I'm going straight to dessert shop, straight to get, you know, a Five Guys, nothing like that.
You mentioned there about in the amateurs, when you first went up to Sheffield and when you first were on GB, obviously you have to look after yourself a little bit more. You get kind of the more appreciation of the, you know, the world and what have you, being a kind of a full-time amateur. What was your cooking skills like? Were you the type of, do you cook for yourself? Did you still have meal prep? What did you do when you first went there?
It's just like, it's a learning, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think when we first went there, it was like, it was a canteen, and then obviously time evolved, and then they brought some houses and flats, and then you was in the flats, and then you had meal prep, and then after meal prep, we went to like Tesco vouchers, so you get your own food and cook your own food. I'm a survivor. I wouldn't say it's 5-star or a la carte, but I'd say I can add fire to meat, and like hot water to potatoes, and I can make it hot water to veg, and I can make food. I can eat something that isn't going to kill me. Do you know what I mean?
What was your speciality? What, if you had to cook one meal, or what was the meal that you ate more than the rest?
Probably, I'd go to Tesco. I'd just get the chicken breasts, and go and get the Caribbean seasoning in a bowl. First, wash my chicken. Wash my chicken up, put it in the bowl, season it up. George Foreman on, chuck it on there, grill it. A sweet potato, stab the life out of it in the microwave for like 10 minutes, I think. In some water, then in the oven for another like 15 minutes. Get it nice and so like sweet potato, that, and then a quick bit of veg. I just brought a steamer, absolute vital tool. Chuck all your veg in, put some water in, turn it on to like 15 minutes, steam through. There you go, you got yourself a meal.
That's good, man. That sounds good. It sounds a lot healthier than what I used to cook for myself when I lived alone. Yeah. But you've had some interesting meals over the years though, with some of the places that you'd have travelled to as an amateur. Is there any in particular ones that started just looking at your face? I think there's probably a few that are going to pop up.
I think one that was always notoriously bad was Bulgaria. The hotel food, the only way I can describe it was like they'd bring you like meat and potatoes in a bowl slash plate, but just like loads of water. Do you know what I mean? Like the water had like a layer on top of it of like grease. Oh. It was never good. Other than that, Kazakhstan was always an interesting one. A lot of horse meat eaten over there. So I've had a few horses in my time, which at the time, like I grew up around horses with my grandparents. The first time, it hurt my heart a little bit. After that, I started trying to like it a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So it's really good for you, high in protein and stuff. So yeah, I've had some interesting meals.
Yeah, I bet you have. What about when you were over in Tokyo, obviously last year? What was the food like there?
Well, obviously, with it being lockdown, we were restricted. Like when we went out to the venue and we drove, I see some lovely sushi bars, places, like restaurants. Thought, it'd be lovely. Couldn't get to them, and in the village, the canteen is like, remember they're cooking for like 20,000 people,
Yeah.
And in fairness to them, it was good, but there's that much variety. And I'm no good, when I've got variety, I'm like one of them guys that have like a bit of this, bit of that, bit of this, bit of that. I just tried to keep it, obviously you're competing as well, so I tried to keep it as English as I could, just because I didn't want to upset stores.
Yeah,
so,
foreign foods and you're not used to it.
Yeah, that was mainly, like I say, chicken, rice, potatoes, veg. But there was anything you wanted there. After competition, don't get me wrong, I was in the Italian section, I was in the Japanese section, the katsu curry and all that was banging.
Well, usually my breakfast, it used to be a cup of coffee and a cigarette, but I stopped smoking. But I can't live without the coffee. Mm-hmm. What about yourself? Are you a coffee man? Do you try and limit it? A lot of some fighters have 1 cup in the morning. Some fighters try and abstain from it. What do you like with coffee?
If someone's making the coffee, I'll have one. I'm not a coffee expert. Saying that, I had a coffee the other day, and I can categorically say it was the best coffee I've ever had. It was out of like a machine. One of the guys, David, he's on campus. He was on campus last week. He had brought his own little coffee machine. He goes around the world. He takes his coffee machine with everywhere. And he's like, no, honestly, it's different to any other coffee you're gonna have. And I didn't ask the questions. I just drank it. It was unbelievable. So I'm not huge on coffee. I gave myself a little ban last year because I feel like it's quite addictive. I think I got like a little bit of addicted to it last year. and it was Starbucks all the time or Costa, you know, every drive-through and that. You spend that stupid money eventually. So this year I don't think I've been. Probably the odd time I've had a drive-through. But if there's one here and I just fancy one, you know, I don't rely on it, but if I fancy one, I'll have one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I obviously drink a lot of coffee. I do kind of quite a lot in late nights with what we do. I remember speaking to George Groves, and he said that like he was drinking so much coffee, and then he eventually kind of like cut it all out. He said initially he was kind of low energy, really wanted one, and then he said once he broke through that kind of first week or two, they had a lot of energy after that, and he was okay with it. I always like, even when I try and do that, I cut down to like 1 a.m, like I always find it eventually creeps up. It's really difficult, but it's very addictive, caffeine.
And I think the other side of that is on fight nights and stuff. I've always used the caffeine energy gels, which are perfectly legal, by the way. I've always used them, and I feel like if you're so used to having caffeine all the time, they don't have quite the same effect as the wood. You know what I mean? So, like I say, I try and limit it as much as I can. But if I fancy the coffee now, I'd go and get 100%.
How's your breakfast?
It's all right. I think it's the heat. I'm not really that hungry today. Do you know what I mean? I've got the bagel in and the eggs. I might have to leave a little bit. I've got a smoothie as well, so I'll be good for the day. I mean, like I say, being a heavyweight, it has its perks in the sense of I know I'm always going to be able to fight. I'm never going to fail on the scales, but I think there is this thing about, you know, being optimum weight and being in the best condition you can be. Like I said, I think, you know, I'm still looking for that at the minute. I'm still at the stage now of, even though I'm so experienced, I've had a lot of fights in the amateurs and stuff. I think as a pro, I need to change physically, which I'm trying to do. Like, I'm eating a lot more. Like over the last few months with the injury as well, I've put some size on. I am heavier than I was even on my debut. But my body fats and stuff like that, the numbers are a lot better than it was before. Do you know what I mean? So I'm changing all the time. I'm getting better as an athlete, I think, anyway, I hope. And the numbers they're telling me suggest that. So yeah, there's a fine balance between being a heavyweight and being able to eat what you want and eating what's right.
Yeah, I think I've actually had this conversation a few times with people who are like, I think heavyweight's more than any other weight because there's no weight limit. Like people obsess over like how much does a heavyweight weigh. Like Joshua is one of the biggest examples of that. How much is he going to weigh? Or think that's a good weight for him. And I think people have kind of think that him settling around the same weight he was for Pulev in the first Usyk fight. But yeah, you make a good point about that because people even watching this would say, oh, heavyweight, eat what you want and stuff like that. But it's not as easy as that, and it's not as, you know, the more you eat, the more you obviously put on weight, but tailoring your S&C and your diet to what works for you. Are there any things that you eat now that you didn't eat as an amateur or vice versa? Did you eat things as an amateur that you now don't eat as a pro, or how has your diet changed?
I think now I just fuel around the sessions a lot more, you know. On the heavy days, I eat a lot more. On the lighter days, I sort of definitely don't put as much in because I don't need to. But I'm always trying to think about, you know, before the session, the fuel, and after recovery, to be able to go and train hard again. You know, you've got to put the right nutrients in your body. Looking after the muscles, like I say before, filling them with fuel, then repairing them after with the right foods. It's important. These are things that I don't know, and I still don't know, to be honest. You know, people will be watching this with a lot more expertise than me and thinking he doesn't know what he's on about. Honestly, I don't, but I'm learning. I'm speaking to the guys here at Loughborough, and you know, like I say, there's an unbelievable set of individuals in, you know, Loughborough University, the nutritionists, the S&C guys, the coaches. They really are, you know, not just trying to tell me what to eat, they're trying to educate me, and I really appreciate that because it's going to go a long way for me in my career. And then once my career's over and I'm coaching other guys, you know, hopefully I can pass this information on.
You mentioned coaching there. Is that something that you could see yourself doing?
Oh, 100%. If you speak to anyone that's ever been in the gym with me, they'll tell you that I'm the boxer that also acts as the coach. When I finish my training, you know, whether that's Richard Riakporhe, Kieran Malloy, or Anthony Joshua, I always have a 2 penner to stick in. Angel will often tell me to do one, you know. But I like to think I know what I'm talking about, or I have my own opinion, I have my own values in boxing, my own thought process of how I think people should box. And you know, if I'm ever asked, I will 100% tell people that in the right circumstances.
I think it's good. It's sometimes good to have that in the gym as well. Particularly if people, respect your opinion. And you've known, as you mentioned, earlier on, you've known people for years and years and years, and you kind of seen them develop and grow with them. You kind of have a informed opinion that you can base not just on the one spar that you've seen or the one session that you've seen, but over a kind of year-long relationship or years and years-long relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I never tried to overstep my mark because I understand that in the boxing gym, the head coach is the head coach. I think it comes natural to all fighters. If you're in there and you see another fighter doing something, you see it's a lot different being on the outside of the ring than being inside. You see things that you think people should do, or you know what people should do, or you know that the coach would be saying that. I find myself a lot of times mimicking the coach and saying what I think the coach would say. So that's just the supportive side of me. It's just like the team player in me that wanting my teammates and the other pros around me to do well.
I'm wary of the fact that I'm now keeping you waiting for your session, so I'm going to try and... What are we going to go here? To be fair...
You've done well.
It's a decent little breakfast.
Well.
I do have a confession to make, and I did have breakfast on the way here as well, so this isn't actually my second breakfast of the day. It's bad, isn't it?
No, it's all right. What time are you training?
What's on my training?
Yeah.
Just 15 minutes after you, I think.
Yeah. Fair play. Getting the greens down here.
That's one. I was literally just thinking.
Finish the greens, finish the greens and we'll let you have some pudding.
That's what I was literally thinking in my head. I was like, if I eat the broccoli, then it's not that bad.
No, leave that sausage and eat the broccoli.
Okay.
No, don't leave the sausage. In fact, don't leave enough. Don't even mind to tell you, I wouldn't be leaving it if I was you.
Hey, you've left stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a little bit full today.
Left your broccoli as well.
I know. You know what? We're getting cursed for that.
What tips would you give to young fighters? I mean, obviously not every fighter can afford nutritionists, dietitians, stuff like that. Yeah. What advice would you give to young fighters with keeping up with their, making sure they're putting the right things in their body before and after sessions?
I think common sense is a massive thing on this. You know the difference between an apple and a chocolate bar, don't you? Do you know what I mean? You know that one's better for you than the other. And also, you got to be your own. If you can be your own nutritionist now. Literally, you can go onto YouTube or Google and you can literally get the information. And if you want to go to the top of the tree in this game, you have to take on information. You have to learn yourself. So yeah, definitely go out there and research, and especially around that fueling and looking after your body and repairing the body if you're training hard as well. But I think the biggest thing is common sense, really. Do you know what I mean? Common sense, a bit of learning, do a bit of studying, and I think it'll take you through.
You mentioned chocolate bars or apples and stuff. What's your little kind of that you had to slap your own hand away sometimes over the years? What's your one little thing that tempts you the most?
Yeah. Yeah. Guilty pleasure, definitely a pint. I can't lie, and begrudge me or not, how dare you be a boxer and not beer? No, I love beer, mate. I'm where I was born and raised, walking in and out of pubs around Burton-on-Trent with my mum and dad. Probably had my first pint before I had my bottle, I think.
I think you sat there as like a kid with like your Big Mac and your pint.
Yeah, at 6. Yeah. Nah, it wasn't that bad, but yeah, I like a beer. Guilty of a Guinness, Not like it that much where I need to have one, but I enjoy a pint. I can't lie, Now and then, when I get the chance, I'll have a couple, definitely.
When was the last time you had a beer?
Oh, last time I had a beer. A while ago now.
I should hope so.
Yeah, no, a while ago now. Probably can't remember. Maybe a sister-in-law's wedding. That was a while ago. I can't remember the date. A few months ago at least. When I I was at a cross. I was down. I was upset because of my hand. I felt sorry for myself. I was just sat there. You know, when you're in injury as a fighter, when you've got an injury, you go through days of real motivation, then you go through days of this is never going to get better, even though it is. Yeah, so I had a few pints then, and yeah, I kind of had a good day.
I was about to ask a question, but I've got a mouthful. I think it's been enough talking with the mouths full. I suppose it's probably doubly difficult for you as well because obviously you stayed amateur for a couple of cycles and then turned pro, and obviously we've had COVID, we've had all sorts of stuff, we've had like kind of various promotional network things kind of spread out all over the place, so you've not had that activity that you would have wanted, particularly coming from the amateurs where you're a lot more active than you are as a pro anyway. So I'd imagine when you get a hand injury so early on in your career after kind of, you know, getting a medal at the Olympics, going in there, you know, launch into the pro career, I'd imagine it's probably a little bit tougher to take than your average.
Yeah, you know, it's not like there's no point in me sitting here and saying, "Oh, it's not been a problem. It's been fine." It's been a nightmare. It's been a ball ache, really and truly. But you have to get through these things. Like I said, I've been injured before in the amateurs. I had really bad injuries. You know, that have kept me out for a year, kept me off my feet for a year. You know, I've had illnesses that have been literally devastating. I'm tough up here, and that's important. You know, it was a setback. It gave me time to learn though. It was a harsh reality and a harsh bring into the pro game, what the pro world's about. You know, let's be honest. Like, you know, the first question I'd ask by certain people when I broke my hand, and this is people that are involved in my career, wasn't how are you, how's it feeling? It was when you're back. When you're back. When could we get you back in a ring? You know, and it just made me realise, you know, that this is the business game. You know, this isn't sport. This is we need you. We've made an investment in you. We need you back in the ring so that you can do well and obviously do well for us. So yeah, it's a harsh reality, but I think, you know, like I said, I want to box. You know, boxing is what I do. What I love, competing. And like I say, you know, these things happen. It was just a freak accident, you know, big gloves on, sparring, like a normal day in the gym, threw a right hand, which I've thrown a million times, and there it goes, just gone. But I'm back from it now, like I say. I've made some improvements, I've worked on myself in the time, and I'm looking forward to what's next.
What's next is you're going to be boxing on July 30th down in Bournemouth. Really good card, like really good main event. Chris Billam-Swift and Isaac Chamberlain, good fight. But you look down the card, you've got yourself, you've got Ben Whittaker, of course, somebody you know very well from the amateurs, Caroline Dubois, Hassan Azim. You know, it's a real good card to be on, but you can't wait to get back in there after everything.
No, like I say, I can't wait to get back in there. But as a fan of boxing, it's a card that I like, you know, especially the names you mentioned there, you know. Anytime any of the Azim brothers are fighting, I've become massive fans, you know, after seeing them and getting to know them a little bit more. I've just become huge fans. They're both entertaining, the energy they bring. Obviously, Ben, you know, Ben is Ben. It wouldn't headline or, you know, being Chris and Isaac, wouldn't surprise me if Ben steals the show. He's that good. Caroline, you know, the last performance I was there ringside, and I was so impressed, and I'm sure she's definitely improving all the time with Shane and the guys up there. So I'm looking forward to a good card, and everything's by the seaside, you know. I just get the visions of, you know, people strolling down the seafront on a Saturday night, fish and chips, ice cream, pint, straight into the boxing, back out, more pints, you know, Larry down the seaside. You know, it'd be good. There'd be a good crowd in there, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm very much looking forward to it. I think we're about there for breakfast. We're going to go and watch you train now, so go burn off all of those calories and what have you. Good fuel inside you. I think I probably do with burning off a few myself, but I won't.
Join in.
But yeah, maybe. I think it'll be hot enough in there that I could probably just sweat out a little bit anyway. What do you think, guys?
I'm looking forward to that.
But no, this has been really good. I'm very glad that we got you on for the first episode of Punches and Brunches. Thanks very much for delaying your breakfast in time for us to get set up. But
cool.
Frazer Clarke, thanks very much.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.